Good evening. My name is Chloe Wigul, and this is Davis Gortner. We are co-presidents of a student-run organization called Teens Against Toxins. Tonight, we will be giving you a little bit of an overview about the environmental concerns about the Santa Susana Field Lab. So without further ado.
So we're a group of teens from a couple of high schools like Oak Park High School and Westlake. And what we try to do is to increase awareness within people our age, teenagers, and just people like you who may not know too much about the site. So we do this by going to farmers markets, passing out flyers, getting people to come to these meetings, and making bake sales, raising money for Boeing to help pay for the cleanup. Because we want the SSFL to be cleaned up to its full background that was agreed in 2010. So that's kind of what we're here to do, is to help make sure that happens and get people know about it.
History of the site. SSFL was dedicated to the development of nuclear rockets and rocket testing. Three main organizations and parties own the land: Boeing, Department of Energy, and NASA.
This is a photo of a building with a nuclear reactor in 1958. And since this was kind of all happening during the Cold War, and there was not a lot of people living around this site, the buildings didn't have any concrete contaminated structure that a lot of the nuclear power plants do today.
So the partial nuclear meltdown occurred in July of 1959. 13 of the 43 fuel rods were melted during the sodium reactor experiment. Plutonium and strontium were released during this. Since the nuclear contamination and the rocket testing occurred before the development of nuclear power plant containment structures, all of the nuclear waste went into the air and was then controlled by the air currents, winds, and water streams. So on the left, you can see there's a picture of a nuclear building, and this is where the nuclear rods were kept. And then if you look on the right, this is one of the 13 fuel rods that were melted during the nuclear disaster.
So in 2012, the EPA completed a $40 million multi-year radiation survey. And because of this, they found 500 places on the site that were contaminated, including plutonium-239 and cesium-137. And a lot of these radioactive pollutants were as much as 1,000 times the background, which is very dangerous. This is a photo that was taken recently, and is showing what they're trying to do to keep the contamination on the site. This is just a picture of a tarp over where it was highly contaminated, but it's not very effective. If it rains, it can wash out the soil, go right into the streams, so something needs to be done. This is some of the causes of chemical contamination. There's a carcinogen known as TCE that was used to flush out the rockets after rockets were tested, and there was no way of controlling these and keeping it contained. So it's estimated now that there's between 500,000 to 1 million gallons of TCE still in the groundwater at the site. There's also a toxic rocket fuel oxidizer known as perchlorate that's linked to thyroid illnesses that was used in tests and is still there on site today. So Boeing was fined almost $500,000 in 2007 for 79 violations of wastewater and stormwater runoff.
Cancer rates. Although cancer cannot be directed at one specific source, we don't know exactly where it comes from. It has been shown by Dr. Hal Morgenstern at the UCLA School of Public Health, a study done in 2007, that people who lived around 2 miles from the site have a 60% greater chance of contracting cancer than people living 5 or 6 miles outside. Some of the cancers include cancer in the lymph nodes, cancer in the blood, and thyroid cancer, along with other strains.
This is a picture of a fire at the site in 2005. A lot of people are saying that the best thing to do with all the contamination is just to leave it there. But if there's like fires like this, it gets up into the air and into our bodies, which is really dangerous. And we can't control fires and natural disasters. So this is another reason why it needs to be cleaned up and cleaned up soon. In 2010, NASA and DOE signed the AOCs with the DTSC, saying that they were going to clean up all the contamination on their parts of the property to background, meaning that they're going to return the property to the condition it was before they polluted it at all.
And we believe, as young people entering our community, that it is crucial that we help to protect and educate the citizens and our friends and family members. So we really highly urge that we clean Rocketdyne and SSFL to background. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Davis and Chloe.